I don't want to know.
Billy's the sheriff with a bottle and a trail. Billy's the hero.
Yeah, he is. Billy is our hero. We love Billy. Every day, we praise the flag. He saved our country from bodegas and cigarettes and beer. Yeah, Billy.
I just found out.
Loved by women.
Hey, Dave, how did you do that, son? Do you enter the name Billy, and then you put officer or?
I typed in like
he puts in keywords and they make the song.
Podcast fights crime. Put a bunch of
alcohol. All right, yeah.
What I put up with, babe? It's curly learning.
So we are here again for our final series in our true crime podcast with Billy.
It's called an episode. It's an episode.
The Liquor Guy. Our final episode. Thanks, Billy. In the series of Billy the Liquor Guy and his escapades over his career. It has been such a thrill so far, and we are concluding tonight. And with us, as always, to my left, the voice of reason himself, who's already probably 3 deep, Frank Cristiano.
Salute. This is organic gin.
Organic gin. That's good to know. The coach himself, Coach Schumann. Coach, freshly shaved for this.
Wow.
Do you have any words of wisdom? No?
It
no
looks
words
good.
of wisdom?
You look cute. You'll be a big hit in a gay bar.
And the man who is 70 years old with the hypersexuality of a 16-year-old.
The new
Mr.
Bill Belichick.
William Soldado.
That'd be me, guys.
Yes,
That'd be me.
We're here to talk about
Billy
the
Bill
Liquor
Belichick,
Guy.
Actually.
Yeah,
I know, right?
You guys can go out.
You attract him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Billy. Like, what's your secret?
It's the Liquor Guy. It's write a book. People think you're crazy or dangerous. A lot of different people, a lot of men too, wanting to think that I'm something special. I'm not. No, no. But speaking about special, I stopped at the Voice of Region's place the other day.
They left me a message. Thank you.
The Voice of what?
I didn't have your phone, or I would have called you.
Oh, yes, you did. You went to the Voice of Reasons, the pizzeria.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'll be bringing some young ladies there sometime soon. I'll let you know.
Please do. Please do. You're more than welcome to bring young ladies there. We love young ladies at Tony's Pizzeria Bar and Grill. We'll give them Tony's Pizzeria. We'll give them a free plug on here.
Fantastic.
Well, he does a great commercial, and I responded, but no. Anyways, he does
a great commercial.
You guys are a handsome bastard. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Well, that's why I showed you. We have 1.3 million subscribers on Coach Schumann's YouTube channel, and we had 132 million views last month for our content.
You guys are good. Did you read my last text? If this thing goes the way it does, we're going to go on to bigger and better things for both of us. So you know what I mean?
This is going nowhere but the top, baby. No.
Well, that's why we're going to do bigger and better things, and we're going to have a big fucking party at the pizza place. They'll
all nighter, a bender.
Yes, thongs everywhere.
So and
there
will be illegal booze everywhere. Billy, all I want to know is when the movie comes out, I just want to be.
I still don't want to think of the movie. I think TV series.
I'm going way ahead. The TV series would be great because then I could have recurring roles. But I just want to be the guy on the jet ski or on the skidoo, or actually when the skidoo. When over the frozen ice, and then there's a big hole, and I'm carrying like 6 bottles of liquor on my skidoo, and then I just go right into the fucking hole and die. That's the only part I want.
Well, go out. He's still there. He's still there, bro.
He's still there.
Netflix Studios. I live right near 5 minutes from Fort Monmouth, and Netflix Studios is has bought all the property, and they're building their East Coast hub right here. So
in Jersey.
Yes.
Wow.
It's enormous.
Jersey gives tax breaks, don't they?
It's Old Fort Monmouth, which is a gigantic a fort. It just
so they
went
can
out
build studios there.
Not little,
right?
Huge.
Big ones.
It's like 1,000 acres or something. It's enormous what they're going to be building. They've already built other stuff, but they're building all kinds of things over there. and they're doing a lot of their movies from it because it's and people are getting out of California because it's
too expensive.
Yeah,
too
yes.
expensive. Yeah.
Jersey gives good tax breaks, and I think
For
we
me,
do in New
yeah.
York as well.
Yep.
Well, we're trying.
So, Billy, we had left off last week. We got into the beginning of your career and
The boring
your
part.
first, not the boring part, the interesting part of how you got your start. Because what's unusual is you really got your start later in life. Like most people out of high school, they'll go into the academy, or they'll go to college into the academy.
Right.
You drove a garbage truck for 30 years, and then one of the
A few years.
I'm kidding. A few years.
Yeah.
Well, 10
Yes.
years. Didn't you say 10 years?
A total on and off. But for the first couple years out of college, I drove a garbage truck because I chose to, with a college education, with theories of basketball, and with philosophy of love. We know how that course went.
Philosophy of love. Oh, you make love like nobody else.
No!
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, I'll try to stay on point.
No, you can go all. It's your show. You can go off point all you want. I wanted to know because when did you really begin your undercover work? I mean, because you talked about your arrests, tailgating people to the bodegas, busting them. When did you go in?
After 9/11, it got serious.
That's when you started going undercover, actually.
Deep. What we call deep undercover, where I obtained a different different
ID,
different ID, Social Security numbers, driver's license, apartments, nice cars, the whole 9 yards. I lived a life that was very hard to deal with. Oh, no, not maintained, to deal with, because when they shut me down, I cried like a little bitch.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you did. So you do this. How long does it take exactly before you infiltrate your target? Because you're living the life, you got your new identity. How long does it take before you make contact with the enemy?
Well, actually, I was either very good and very lucky. But basically, right after a few visits, when they thought I was a mafia guy for the different situations, different things I was able to get from any type of item they might have wanted, the bad guys, I said, not just guns and drugs, even bombs, but from Gucci stuff. And a lot of people want the Italian stuff. But to answer your question directly, within the first few visits, I was even above the bottom rung. I had my way into whatever criminal element I was working at the team, whether it was a biker gang, was it a Jamaican gang, was it a Chinese gang, because I came up with some real shit. The Chinese particularly were interested in fake stamps. Okay. I could obtain those through my contacts in the cigarette business.
The Chinese wanted fake stamps?
Yes. They're very big on it. Yes. They would make them, but the ones I could get were even better because guess what? They didn't realize that they were real.
Dave, did you ever imagine that people would check stamps to be fake or real?
What?
Well,
yeah.
Okay, who's been drinking here too?
Dave, would you ever expect people to check stamps to see
Stamps
if they
was
were
a big
fake or
thing
real?
to counterfeit because you can.
It really was.
You could send mail.
Yeah,
I get that part.
Oh my God.
I never knew it was a big counterfeit deal. So it really was a racket.
Well, the stamp encumbers most of the money. So if they could fake that and not pay the fee to the federal government, which was unbelievably high, especially in New York State, the Chinese were making fake stamps, but we found them. We started selling other ones and then we had them in deep. We got a hold of where they make this stuff, their factories. I mean, I don't want to bounce all over the place, but I had so much shit going on between fake stamps, illegal liquor, guns and drugs and shit. But it all came down to the money thing. But again, money generated all the crime. So in the Chinese mafia, the fake stamps were, again, like producing so much money because they were not paying the price they were for the cigarettes, so they could sell them lower, and they were making millions of dollars.
I just want to ask a question. So when you say the Chinese mafia, you're talking about the mafia in New York City or in major U.S. cities. So
New
not
York
like
City. Yeah.
it's not like you're shipping
Right.
off to Shanghai and you and the black
No.
Jackie Chan are over there busting
No.
guys out there. Right. I got
You
you.
know, my agency would not let me go for a lot of reasons, good
So-
reasons.
so when do you
No,
know?
you are 100%. We dealt with New York City.
Right. So when do you know when you're in undercover and all of a sudden they want stamps and
Right.
they've led you to other contacts? Maybe when do you know the time is correct to call in the reserves and bust this organization up?
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's going to be a good call.
Well, we had enough stuff on them, and the only reason it got extended is that they wanted me to get involved in human trafficking. Okay.
Wow,
They
even
wanted,
back then they were doing it.
yeah, they wanted me to set up some transport from. I mean, it got really crazy, guys. I mean, I was in another
Yeah.
world. They wanted me to. They would, if I would pay some money or get a boat, they wanted me to
Oh.
take have these people shipped from wherever they came from, but they were going to come in eventually from Cuba to Miami.
So
And
we're not
that's
talking
when it-
Chinese nationals. We're just talking any immigrants, any illegals looking to come over.
That's
well, no,
about
he said
it.
trafficking.
Right. But so
Yeah, but
how
mostly
does-
it was young women actually.
Yeah, that's what I
they
was
wanted.
thinking. It was
Yeah.
it's sex.
It was.
how
It was all
does
about sex. Yes.
how does it work
Go ahead.
as it's a New York organization, a New York sort of sting,
yeah.
and now
Right.
it expands into
You're
let's
in
say the
Miami,
coast of
yeah.
Miami or coast of Florida, and you're getting people coming in from Cuba.
Okay,
or
because
coming
I
in from,
worked
coming
with
in from Mexico.
I worked with the Alphabet Soup. I worked with Coast Guard. I worked with anything imaginable because once a deal was made, and again, very lucky, very good, right place, right time. I was able to, and because I don't forget, I was buying bombs, I was buying drugs, I was buying guns. So for what to the other gangs, you know, and I talked about it and it got substantiated through other contacts. They found out that I was fortunate to be the real deal.
You had a reputation. You built up a
Yes, I
reputation
did. Yeah, and yes, I did. From
that you could
the
get at.
underworld. Yeah, it was all on my agency, especially with Tom Stanton. You know, he let me go anywhere I want. And I mean, when I said, you know, I was just, you know, that kid from East Utica, but where I ended up sometime was hard to believe that I'm actually involved in human trafficking. I'm buying a bomb from a white supremacist. I'm dealing drugs and guns to, you know, from Albanians to Africans to any nationality there is. Russian gang with motor fuel, Chinese gang with cigarettes, and then you add in all the other, you know, sexy stuff, guns, drugs, and you know,
rock
human
and roll,
trafficking.
Yeah.
Billy,
Yeah, it was.
how many young 18-year-old Chinese girls did you take advantage of before you had to actually turn everything in?
When we're off the program, I will tell you, but I'm not a Chinese type guy.
Yeah,
I
I'm not Asian. I don't like the Asian.
No, not being prejudiced. I had the opportunity a couple times when I was in
I'm
Hawaii.
not like attracted to the Asian women. They give good massages, but I wouldn't want to go in there.
Yeah, with a happy ending, Steve.
Crazy.
Yeah, I like the happy endings. I don't like the, I'm not
Speaking-
fucking them, That's all. But so
And they are not fucking you, Steve.
they would if they wanted to.
No.
So
they're
you
like,
would-
they're like,
you-
here's your money back, Steve. Here's your money.
Thanks for your contribution, Dave. It's nice
Guys,
you haven't
look at-
fallen asleep yet.
Listen, flashing her
Here's
tits.
your
I
money
gotta
back,
get out of here.
Did you actually like?
No
you
massage
mentioned
for you. No
you
massage.
bought a bomb. You would buy bombs from the Albanians. Like, would
No,
you be
Albanians were all about guns and drugs and everything. The bomb I bought
Okay.
from a white supremacist group.
the white
that was-
supremacists? That's right. Okay.
Yes,
Wow,
sir.
it's dangerous.
But
Yeah,
the-
it's crazy.
and- But the Albanians and the Africans were the ones that tried to kill us, where it got very interesting to lead up to the stuff. That was
To
very
buying the
interesting.
bomb.
No, from buying the bomb, he eventually was taken away
Okay.
because we had to leave the area because it was getting out of hand. He was a supreme racist. He had the swastikas on his head like his
Oh,
17-year-old
yeah.
son did. But the Albanians, not to confuse the listeners and stuff, because I get confused sometimes, that the Albanians wanted as many cigarettes, but they got tired of paying, so they wanted to rob us. So they set
Oh,
up a little
wow.
bit of. They set up a small, I call it a militia group, because they had all sorts of weapons, and they were outside our warehouse, but we were well locked in. They were trying to break the door down in the back to come in and kill us and gain our multi-million-dollar worth of product, which on the street would have been 10 million. I mean, we had a large warehouse worlds, and
Where
they
the
just were,
cigarettes
where the cigarettes were. And that was one incident. And the Africans were the ones that were going to just take all the cash they thought we had. But again, on both instances, Sunshine gave us a heads up what was going down. You remember Sunshine, right? The madam?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The
She
madam
gave you
that
a
I had
heads
to
up.
do on it?
Good
Yeah,
CI.
yeah.
When you say Africans, you're saying not African Americans.
No, true African.
True Africans
True
from
Africans, yeah.
what region of Africa you think are they settled in?
I'm not being an ass. They were the tallest and the darkest guys I've ever came across.
So
Probably
they're from the
Nigeria,
Sudan. They're from the
Kenya.
Sudan.
Yeah,
Oh,
you are
okay.
right. You are, damn it, you guys. I'm sorry. We
I
had
know,
a
Frank's
Syrian.
smart.
We had a Syrian contact, and who was from Syria, and but somehow, because he must reach out to some really badasses. We had 3 different informants working 3 different regions of the country. One was from Syria, the other one, well, not different. One was from Tunisia/Yemen, and another one was from Russia. So we were pretty diversified.
Are they CIs? Are they confidential informants because they were busted initially on charges and now they're just trying
They
to reveal
flip.
information and flip?
Or are
You
you
are-
working them?
No, he's done this before. I'm sorry. He's
Frank
100%
has.
right.
He's doing it right now. He's
Yep.
undercover.
Yep.
Is a pizza.
Pizzeria, Sudan, me. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
tie-ins are right there.
No, but
You know, it's interesting, Billy. When you're talking about the human trafficking and what you were dealing with there, I just saw a thing today where Tim Tebow is. Tim Tebow was talking. He was interviewed on a podcast, and he was trying to get Congress to pay more attention to the human trafficking stuff because just in the last 30 days there was 111,000 IP addresses that downloaded like child porn of kids under 12.
Right.
So it's
God.
yeah. And so when you were initially dealing with it, obviously that was the beginning of the use of computers and those kind of things for it. But it's crazy how it's such a real issue throughout the world, right? So so are they all, a lot of the things that happen? These are all like intertwined things, right? Like human trafficking, using illegal cigarettes and
Sex,
it's
drugs,
all
guns.
intertwined, right? Because it's an exchange of money, right? It's used as an exchange of money, right?
Yes, we started with the Chinese with cigarettes. Then he wanted stamps. He tried to sell us stamps. But again, someone a lot smarter than me, Tom Stan, says, well, we got better stamps than that. And so we got him buying. Oh, he was selling us and then buying illegal cigarettes, not entrapped. We sat down with him and he was very energetic. And then once we went through that deal, that's when he started hitting us with the human trafficking. But, I played very dumb in a lot of undercover ops. I mean, it worked.
You have to, because you don't know where it's going to lead you, right?
Oh, you don't. And
when you're talking about stamps, you're not expecting it to lead you to human trafficking.
No, not at all. But that popped up. Same thing when one guy asked the one certain, I said it before, the gentleman that the people that wear the dreadlocks, who said it. Okay, Hasidic. Tell me how to say it.
Yep.
Hasidic Jews down in
yeah.
I was thinking Jamaican, but okay.
No. They
No, I know the
they
dreadlocks
wanted
he's talking about.
they-
Yeah.
they hired me to be a hitman because
they did.
they said that one of their guys screwed them, one of their partners. And, on that, I played pretty smart because they wanted me to get my own gun. And I said, why would I use my own gun? I said, you guys have to get me the gun, which would, and the charges were a bit bigger. And then they asked me if I could just shoot him, but not kill him. I said, again, as an undercover, you say, what the fuck? I'm going to wound this guy so he can recognize me and testify against me. I said, no, you guys sign on a dotted line. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
But on with the Chinese, with the human trafficking. Now, I played super dumb. People might laugh at, but this worked. When he said, can you get a boat? I said, yeah, I can get a 16-footer fucking rowboat. He goes, are you fucking crazy? He goes, I got 16 people. I said, so I'll get a 26 footer. Now I'm fucking with this guy and he's getting more agitated. I said, listen, the fuck you. How many people you want? What do you think? I'm stupid? I'll get the boat to accommodate the people.
Yeah,
okay. Right. But that's up to me. You know, and he says, but I'll send a couple guys with you. I go, no, you don't. I said, I'll use my own fucking crew. I said, I'm not going to have any guy. I'm not going to be out in between Cuba or whatever fucking water they want me with. You know, so I'll have a certified captain that can navigate the boat and not a 16 footer. And then you kind of turn the tables. I'm saying, this is how it's going to be done. I'm not going to get in the middle of the fucking ocean with a couple guys I help you get the girls out and then fucking about a mile out, I got 2 shots in my head. I said, listen, this ain't my first rodeo. So I went from playing dumb to taking charge. That's kind of, taking control. And that's
that situation right there. When did it end? When they want you to charter a boat and they give you the information and maybe they're telling you about payment and all the good stuff. When does it end? It doesn't follow through to where you actually traffic people in.
Well, he picks them up, obviously, and brings them back, I would think, right?
No, there was a deal made, and it was all recorded.
Okay.
And audio, because, then you just don't know. You go that far, a lot of things can go wrong. You know, we had enough evidence on him with the stamps between federal charges, and then he did hire me to human traffic. And on that note alone, with a recording and everything, he was all done. He's
so that was a wire that you wore?
Yeah, that was all. But in the warehouse, everything was audio and video.
Gotcha.
You know, we had everything discussed. We're in the office. There's, he was on. He could have been on multiple stations. But these people were. Again, not the best part about that was his mother was in charge of it, and I told this before. But there was another that guy. And she kept calling me a fat guy, a very fat guy. You greedy. You can't deal with fat guys. I move too slow when we're loading the cigarettes. So I've only been involved with one arrest where I put the handcuffs on her because that operation was done and I didn't count on dealing with any more Chinese. And I just told her, I said, this fat asshole just got you and your son in jail for probably 20 years. Guess what? How fast do I move now? I said,
do I move now?
That's right. Take care, Mama-san.
So you were the guy who obviously could get things, whatever the Chinese or whoever wanted.
Yes.
You didn't actually go infiltrate the mafia or infiltrate the Chinese to be part of their organization. You were a third party who would be the doer. You would get whatever they would ask you for.
Yes, I was. And again, Mr. Stanton trusted me, but let me know a lot of stuff I was buying because I was the gun thing just actually started as a fluke when the Albanians were going to come and rob and kill us. Sunshine said, "You have a weapon." I said, "No." She goes, "Well, listen, be careful." She got me a weapon, and from that, it generated to buy more stuff. Again, very lucky, right place, right time. I mean, but I did have, I carried a little orange lunch bag that my daughter gave me years ago. And in that, I secreted a gun. They weren't going to come in my office and my place of business and search my. So, but they understood that. But once I gained their trust, I could, like I said, I could almost get away with anything. And I was very, very fortunate.
When you had your IDs changed and now you're undercover and you're a totally different person.
Yeah.
They tie everything into digitally as well, right? So if someone's doing a search on you,
social media.
Everything has been arranged to make you look like who you are and who you're representing during those times.
Yes, it was. In fact, one of my IDs was Mark Hubbard and Marv Van Egan, 2 Oakland Raider using their names, Oakland Raider running backs.
Yep.
I lived at 1122 Miller Street, and I had licenses. I had real addresses, but they could check. But everything was done professionally through the responsible agencies. Social security numbers, driver's license. I mean, I had the whole shooting match. So again, stuff was provided to me by different agencies, and I was
right.
How would you check in if you were undercover on the job? How would you check in with your handler or supervisor? How would that occur?
Well, I would just tell Mr. Stant what I had going on. But again, I'm working with a team. Even my whole team I was the undercover.
You're always
Hey,
covered.
Yeah, they were part of it too. They were the gang of the bad guys. I was the one, and Mr. The other guy, I'll call him Big Randy. He handled the real informants. He was the other senior, and I just happened to be, again, right place, right time, where I was able to talk to these guys a little more better because of my criminal bringing up.
Your pedigree.
So
you got the pedigree.
when you're on the job and you're, let's say, meeting up in a bar or meeting up in a warehouse, or are they your backup? They're like physically near you?
Yeah, you're never alone, right?
No, never. We messed up once, but no, in a warehouse, there was like about 3 agents. And when it got really bad, we started having a couple guys inside in the rafters. But I always had, except for some of the deals late at night, it was just me and another agent, and people are off in the back. But warehouses deals made in a warehouse. It was more of a safety protection thing. We were in a building, which was audio and video. When we made the deliveries to certain places in New York City, we met up with the bad guys. Myself and Obabo met up with the bad guys one-on-one and made the delivery.
Oh, wow.
So you're bringing someone along with you who's your driver or who's a helper or whatever to be able to unload and get all that stuff going. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we had monitors on us, but sometimes in New York City, that's what things could go wrong, as they did the time when they kidnapped El Babo or the other guy, because they wanted a better deal. Everything went wrong. I made some bad calls, and they held on to him for a lot longer than we thought they would. But we ended up making a better deal. We had to come down in prices of cigarettes, so we negotiated it. It all worked out in the end. The bad guys got arrested. We got arrested too, after we had all those red dots pointed on us. So, but shit happens.
You're like the Donald Trump of the agency. You made a better deal. Bad guys got arrested. I mean, bottom line, it's a win-win all the way around.
You went down there with Babo, and they didn't like the deal, so they kidnapped him.
They
held on to him, and they tried to negotiate with you for a better deal.
They called. Well, eventually, I got his call
with kidnappers.
Right. No, he kind of downplays a lot, which he didn't feel he was kidnapped. They were just negotiating, but it didn't help when I told them to go fuck themselves and fuck that idiot. Because he got in the van. He ended up getting in the van.
Which they tell you not to do. Never get in the
right. But not that it was his call, but we're people we dealt with. And then some conversation was going on. They claimed. In fact, I just finally got the story because I've been seeing him a lot more lately. We finally get together. They told him someone was following them. So they asked him to jump in the van because someone's following us. And it turned out, whether it was bogus or not, it was bogus. Because then, a couple hours later, we get a phone call on his phone, but it's not El Babo, that they want a better price. So they kind of tricked them into getting into the van. That's the best way to say it.
And
but
we've been doing the standoff take.
It took about 10 hours. You know what I'm saying? It took about 10 hours.
But he wasn't attacked or tortured or anything.
No. He if he was violated, he's the type of guy that wouldn't tell me, and he could have been because, he kind of liked that shit. No, I'm making jest of it. No, he was not. He said he wasn't abused, wasn't beaten up. It was all business, which I said at first.
When the movie comes out, he'll get gang raped.
Yeah.
It'll just tell us the whole story. In the van for 10 hours.
No, so you did this for a grand total, I think you said 12 years, correct?
Yes, on and off total. Yes. Okay.
How would you be able to see your family? Like, when would you get time to see your family?
Tell you the truth, after a while. Not that much. No, it was for at the beginning, not much, but there was a few year period, 3 to 4 years where not much. In fact, due to the safety, I would not go home.
You wouldn't
at
want
all.
to. Yeah.
No, you just don't know. In fact, it's a funny story with my wife. She didn't know that a couple things had happened. So they actually had a state trooper car station above my house. And she said, wow, there's I don't want you to worry about me. There's a lot of police presence driving through. It's like driving through your dad's neighborhood is the best way to say it.
Oh, there's no police in our neighborhood. It's Frank's neighborhood. There's police up here. Okay, so they did keep a keen eye.
Yeah, they did. And like I said, some incidents happened that warranted that.
Right.
But otherwise, someone's smoking.
Was there anyone who got close to your family home?
No.
Within like 10 miles? Okay. So nothing like that ever happened.
The only thing was her car was seen a couple times, but that was something else that I had to deal with because her car was parked at the shopping center. Because I always get a heads up when a vehicle of mine is run, or because we had some bad cops involved. Okay, that we
did.
and shock to say I don't want to jump, but mostly there were COs in the prisons who one of them had access to run plates. They ran our plates. One came back I got a call that they said, "Hey, senior, your wife's car was just run." I said, "Well, it's at Sanger Town Shopping Center." I go, "Well, she's shopping." Senior, it's 2:00 in the morning. So, anyway,
yeah, crazy. And so when you had to get the bomb from the white supremacists, who requested the bomb?
Actually, Jeff Who did, because he said this guy, he started off with a silencer, and I will not take the credit on that. If I can remember, he found out what we were doing in a warehouse next to him in Yonkers, because he had also a warehouse where he was making furniture, allegedly. Okay. He did have some nice furniture, but he was making other stuff too. But he's also stupid enough to make the bombs in his house. He sees what we're doing, and all of a sudden he even thinks, now when he snuck into our thing because the door was shut a little, and he kind of crawled underneath the door, and he walks in, and there's all these agents with their automatic weapons sitting in lounge chairs, but not with ATF, FBI, but they're sitting like looking lowlifes like I do. And he goes, "Holy shit, you guys are the real deal." He said, because he also all these. It was. I mean, he almost got shot because we said. In fact, Jeff told him that he goes, "Don't ever fucking do that again." You see what we got here, because we had, warehouse with millions of dollars of cigarettes. We obviously he fell right into the thing thinking they were our guards. So, long story short, he starts saying he wanted a silencer. That's what he wanted from us. And Jeff said, "What can you do for us?" And next thing I know, I'll go along with my other senior, I'll call him the Big C. He actually negotiated a deal about what type of bomb we wanted. I was involved in the setup because it initially started with me, and I was the undercover because Randy was not. He was the senior investigator in charge of all the other operations. Between all of us, we set it up, but I got to give buying the actual bomb was with El Babo and the Big C. And my job was to go pick up the bomb and purchase the bomb.
What size bomb are we talking about
how
here?
big are they?
It's not a pressure cooker Boston Marathon bomb, or is this a
no
Oklahoma City bomb?
No, he said it had enough to destroy a truck. But also because he said, or is his words, to kill at least 3-4 niggers if they're standing by in a close area.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was actually, now Frank might know this more, in those big wholesale stores where they have the big containers of soup or some shit like that. Big. It was in a tomato soup, Campbell's tomato soup can. The biggest one they make.
Really?
Yeah.
So number 10 can, a big,
And I didn't know, but we were unknown to what we were doing. We were a little naive. The only thing was, again, levity. Me and Randy the Big C showed up at a meeting, and they wanted us to rappel down the helicopter. Randy's my son. Rappel. Okay? They wanted us to rappel.
You didn't rappel. Did you rappel?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not rappel. No, and neither did the other. The Big C is about my size. Okay.
Yeah.
We were hiding. What I was doing was hiding about a half mile away, and we just let him know. And then all of a sudden, everyone just fucking swarmed down on him. And you see any articles about it, you see him being escorted. You see the shotguns taken out of his home. He had like a dozen bombs, I was told, in his home. Jesus. We were involved in the immediate arrest but everything else was done at his home where ATF, I mean,
Which is
they
the stupidest thing to do anything
Yeah,
at home.
right.
Yeah.
But
So-
they arrested, they went to the school, arrested his wife, they
Who gets
arrested
the
his
collar
dad.
for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who gets the
Who gets
who
credit for the
who gets the
arrest?
collar for that, Bill?
Tell you the truth, we were named, but due to our thing, we kept a little, to be honest with you, ATF
Because
was
you were
given.
still undercover, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
still undercover. That's the
So basically, you and your entire organization remained undercover as kind of middlemen for 12 years.
Well, you'd want to know as far as promotions. I mean,
You
you
know,
know,
the warehouse.
you
and-
want to get promotions. You want to get the accolades a little bit. You want. How do they record that? They keep that at their own. Your own organization has files, or
I got awards.
Yeah, you want to watch.
I won awards. No,
But I mean, was it your goal to like supervise these investigations?
they gave you a medal. They gave you a metal coffee cup for getting the bomb, Billy. What did they give you? What did they give you? A little plaque? Come on.
they gave me they gave me a plaque and they gave me a clock.
That was probably the clock that was tied to the bomb, wasn't it? It was the clock tied to the bomb.
The clock was a little about the size of the bomb, but a little smaller.
Oh, my God.
But there's a lot of good words on the plaque. But guys, again, not me. I wasn't. It was all exciting, but the agency did get the credit because when we had the largest takedown in New York City history of drugs and guns or cigarettes and everything, my boss and a couple other dignitaries were on the stage in the presentation. And it made me feel good not to be, because my other partner, some of our guys went, who are not in the undercover force, but could be seen. But Tom Stanton always said, he goes, this is all because of Billy,
Right.
and that was, no, I mean, guys, I didn't do it for the glory. I was having a ball. Who can I bullshit, guys?
You
I'm
enjoyed the
buying-
lifestyle of being undercover.
Yes, I did. You're drinking, you're doing things you have to do, and
But you enjoy
yeah,
doing.
yes, it was, and I was living the dream. So I don't want to make myself out to be a hero or a dumbass, but I was enjoying plus again, go back to the real truth. But 40 of my friends got killed, coworkers,
Yeah.
when they flew of planes into the World Trade Center. So I was
right.
living on that. But my Tom could not do enough for me. He even said, I can't pay you enough for what's going through. And he said, what do you want? I said, hire my son in a heartbeat. There was one issue came up with that. Yeah. My son did very well,
You're
but
talking
we had
about Steven, right?
yes, I did. Yes, we
Yes.
we had a discussion whether he actually had his degree or not, his 4-year degree.
Well,
So-
he went to he went to
He
Sacred
went to
Heart.
and there was an opinion on whether it was no,
An
I
opinion.
we had no. He was not eligible for his NCAA eligibility for his senior year at first. What they did was they gave him credit, but that worked out eventually. There was a little misunderstanding.
Yeah, there usually is, because we had similar instances where if you don't have like a major declared, they won't let you play, something like that.
Right.
You
But
have
he
enough
did.
credit.
Steve, you know what they did? They went back to his freshman year and moved the B up to an A on a certain
wow.
court. 3
And
years later.
that made the difference.
Yes, it did. Which he did. He did a little work, handed in some other little, paper. And I'm sure you're more experienced at than what I heard from my son. But especially at the time, I'm sure grades are adjusted or changed.
Yes, they are.
So let me ask
So,
you this,
guys-
Billy. So I'm getting this scenario right now in my head.
Right.
The professor's there grading your son's papers, and he opens up a package on his table,
Well,
and
this
there's
is
a bomb.
This is Sacred Heart.
There's a bomb on the
This is a
table.
school.
And then all of a sudden, the grade went from a B to an A, right? I mean, is that kind of
No,
how it
they-
went, or no?
Well, I wish it would, but those days it was a little harder. But I'll tell you, they fixed it. They actually went to there's Steve again. I'm pretty sure some professors don't give a shit about the football team.
No, they don't. They actually despise the football team. Yes.
They do but again, my son had a B average, but then for this particular thing, when the professor flunked him for some reason, and he had to take the course during the summer for whatever reason, the
Oh, I got
professor
you.
had not changed the F. So they got tired of going around him. The head coach approached them. What do they call them? people that
The academic advisors. Yeah, I got you.
the boosters. And this guy,
Yeah.
he was a total asshole.
He was a
But they
hardhead,
said so.
yeah.
Yeah, he was, and he wasn't, and he loved. You can't. I know he loved the attention, Steve, that he was getting.
Oh, of course
And
he
he had
did.
you-
He was in control. He was a little
He
dick
hated-
weasel,
You
and he
got it.
finally
Yeah.
had some control.
Yeah, and he hated the football players or any jocks that were there. But
They all did, because he probably didn't have athletic a bone in his fucking pinky.
that's what it comes down to. But again, they reached out again, and it was nothing then illegal. They reached out to a professor he had his freshman year.
Yeah.
He did. And he just said, well, yeah. And he did a little extra work. He gave him another project to do. So, but that was the thing about that. I don't know how we got off point, but everyone had their.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
got
So
that part.
he ended up getting the
Billy,
job.
was
your
there-
son?
Yeah.
No, actually, it turned out again because after a while I found I wasn't meant to be. It was called. They went back to the phase of selective hiring, and
Yeah. Selective hiring. Right. Right. So that's why he moved on
He
to
got-
different pastures.
yeah, because then I said, and I had a bit of a hard on that because the two
Yeah.
people they hired, they bounced they bounced two guys of, like my son, they bounced them for two guys that went to the academy who were of a different ethnicity, and they got arrested. And they got arrested on the way. One of them on the way to the academy for possession of cocaine, and the other one of selling cocaine out of the academy.
And
So,
these are who were undercover protecting us?
No, these were just academy cadets that
they got in. Okay.
yeah,
I
just but they didn't make it out of the academy. In fact, when I got called to do some teaching or whatever and the commissioner at the time, I don't remember who was the female, and she said, "So what do you think of our class?" Obviously, she was trying to appease me because I was pissed because my son got bounced. I go, "Someone's gonna fucking die with these fucking idiots they got in. That's what's gonna happen."
Did you mean that when you said it? That
I told her right to her face. I told her right to her face, they're fucking idiots. This selective hiring is for the balls. I grew up with affirmative action. I don't care if anybody's, you can't hire idiots to do the job. At least be somewhat qualified.
It's
And I'm not
dangerous.
being,
Well, especially when lives are on the line, right?
Yeah, you're not
lives
working at
are on the
Walmart.
line here.
like when
Hiring-
anybody says that, fireman, all you want is be able to have someone that can protect your ass
Yeah.
and not be a fucking idiot. And
Yeah.
I'm being kind. I won't mention any ethnicities, any gender. Like I said, I've been in situations with females that are dynamite, and I also been in situations where they're pudgy little fucknuts that couldn't.
And the
they-
transgenders too. You like working with the transgenders, right?
No, I got to say, I don't think I ever worked with one. I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I wouldn't know that. I
It'd be
wouldn't know that.
interesting to see how they do. I wonder how they perform.
Well-
I wanted to ask you, out of all the different agencies that you worked with, what
Right.
was the best agency that you worked with, as far as like the FBI or whatnot, the ATF? Who did you say you liked working with the most?
The Pennsylvania troopers and the New York State troopers, the ones that
Really?
understood what we did. Yeah, they were ATF,
Just the
FBI.
state troopers.
The other guys are other undercover agents. I mean, even though they went to the Trooper Academy and it was kind of hard, these guys were pretty good. ATF I had no use for. That's the guy who wanted to buy machine guns from. I was buying fucking 9mm from Sunshine, and he insisted on coming on the buy because, again, the other agencies wanted it because I was one of the few or only guys that had U.S. Marshal status. So technically, we had a federal agency to work with us when we were working out in a different state or different area.
You go
But
anywhere.
some people
Right.
are just, he was an idiot. I called him out in the book about what a fucking moron he was. I'm in the van trying to make a gun deal with Sunshine, and she said he's a cop. I go, he's not a cop. And again, I had some people heard this thing before. I had to put my credibility on the line. And I said, and then I told him what to do. Don't fucking go down the machine gun route, automatic weapons, whatever I said, let me buy a couple automatic 9mm, and we'll get it done.
That's
And
all
the
we
next
need.
thing he does, yeah. And within 2 minutes in the conversation, he goes, well, I want 16 machine guns. Those
Oh
are
my
the fucking
God.
words he used.
And that's a red flag right there for them to know.
prove your metal, Billy. You should have turned and shot him in the leg.
Well,
That
tell you the
would've shut
truth,
him
I dropped him after we got done, and I convinced her. I said, "Listen, he can't be a cop. I haven't been arrested. I've done deals with him." She goes, "I don't know what the fuck's going on, but he's a cop." And that's when I called Tom Stanton. I said, "Get this fucking idiot." I
He's gotta
dropped him
go.
off on the corner. I dropped him off the corner somewhere in the Bronx, and I still don't know where. And I said,
Have you
"Call
seen him
whoever."
since?
No, I never
No.
heard from him.
You dropped him off in the Bronx and you haven't seen him since. That's great.
I hope he got fucking taken away. But no, again, this guy,
I think he was, wasn't he AOC's dad? I think it was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's dad. You dropped
I
off
think
at
he
the
was.
Bronx.
Pretty
Could've
attractive.
Yeah.
He was a nerd-looking little motherfucker too. You know what I'm saying? He looked like that. He was about 5'8", maybe. Had like
Okay.
light brown hair or red hair. Fucking looked like he never did a push-up in his life. And I'm going, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And again, you get the worst of the worst. But the troopers, again, a lot of the feds, a lot of times they're high. First of all, they think, and I think that they got too much schooling. They're too educated. They just can't deal on the street.
Yeah.
You give me a street person anytime.
Right. Because when you got someone who's asking for
Billy, would you say that was like your biggest asset and like your awareness, your street awareness and understanding, that just feel for it?
Yeah, that the education, and I fit the low life pride thing really well. And like I tell you again, even when my son went for his interview, and Tom Stanton was impressed with him. He goes, "Wow, he's a little Billy." I said, "Well, yeah, he can be, but he didn't grow up on the streets. He grew up in Whitesboro,
Right.
But he would have been good because he's a very likable person. That's what you have to
Yes.
be. But anyways,
yes.
he's on a one-on-one interview with Stanton, Mr. Tom Stanton, and Tom said, "Boy, you got to be proud." He said, "Well, yeah, my dad." He goes, "But he plays that. He's got the degenerate role." Down that degenerate act down pat. And my son said, "It's no act."
That's who he is. That's 100% who he is.
Yeah, he is.
That's freaking crazy. So can you tell us, you mentioned one of the biggest drug busts, gun busts in New York State history that you were a part of. Can you talk us through that and give us the background behind that story?
Yeah, it all started when they were working on some stuff, but then with the cigarettes and the drugs and the guns, when I got added to the team in Virginia, but it was going back up to New York. In fact, it was called Operation Thunder and Lightning. I believe the takedown happened September 2006, and who was in fact, it's Judge Janine Pirro. She's on.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like her. She was the DA, right? That tried to lock up Robert Durst.
Yeah, but she was the attorney general at the time. But guys,
she wasn't AG. Wow,
he was hot. She walked on the stage.
She's had a lot of work done too.
But we're talking 20 years ago too. Okay,
yeah, I remember. I mean,
she commanded respect, dressed to the nines. And you know what I give her? You know what she did? She came through the room after she was on the, pulpit or the thing or, with all the cameras and stuff. She came through and shook everyone's agent's hand personally and told us what a nice job. And that was nice, but, and
you respected her.
So when I get on the Fox News show, even though I guess right now she's not there no more, she got some ambassadorship.
She's the temporary
liaison.
In District of Columbia.
Oh,
I think she's the temporary attorney general in Columbia.
She tells it how it is.
She is.
Yeah, temporary.
Yeah. But she's got some history too, because her husband was involved in something. And then she brags about, even on the show once, she got a ticket going like 110 on Route 17, at the bottom of the state, somewhere near.
Yes.
Yeah. She was traveling somewhere.
Story.
But again, I was impressed with that because a lot of the politicians, they do their thing, they show up, they couldn't even tell one of our first names. No, they don't. They're sitting there with all the guns and the pile of dope and the cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, she was pretty cool. I got to give her credit. But
do you think she shaves her pussy or not?
I don't know, buddy. I don't know. He got me.
The car was going straight on I-90, and you just took a veer right into a fucking
I
ditch.
just wanted to know if she had like a landing strip or something.
How would he know?
Just his guess. He was close to her.
Yeah, he was close to her. That's yeah, exactly.
So just go back. I want to hear about the big drug bust. How did that happen? How did that go down? What's the background to that?
Oh, the background is again selling. It started somewhere, probably in Yonkers,
Virginia, or whatever.
Yeah, but then we went down there because again, you got interstate trafficking, which adds to the felony and the charges. Okay,
right.
But we just kept selling more and more stuff because we're trying to work our way up to the main guys, which eventually we did. But all this time we're selling stuff. So on total product alone, this is months and months and months of undercover though. You know what I'm saying? From first Yonkers, then some in Jersey, then some down in, we're based in Virginia a lot.
Holy
because
shit.
It looked really legit because Virginia has the really no, small or no tax policy. So we were down there on the premise, the bad guys would travel down. They really think they're getting, low tax stamp cigarettes from Virginia. And they would at this time, they were getting, unbeknownst to us, this is before the Chinese gang, they were buying the fake New York stamps to put on the cigarettes. And eventually, when we got all this done, again, months and months and months, it was a lot of deals were made with El Babo and Jeff Hu. And like I said, our guys on the detail, my other senior, first name Randy, the team put all this together. All I did was show my fat ass over there and play a degenerate. That's what I did best. And I made the deals, but everyone else, the guys who worked the warehouse, who did the wiring, who did the audio, the guys who are backup, the guys with the sniper rifles, that was the whole different, it was all the team. I had the most fun because I'm sitting there making deals, sitting and going in bars, doing this.
Billy, you're not giving yourself enough credit.
And how long?
Sounds like you were the only guy that had your nuts on the line. The other guy is setting wiring, and one guy's up on the rafters with a rifle ready to protect himself, and the other guy's a driver.
One
guy picks up a phone and makes a deal. Billy, you were the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. You're going in there and putting your neck on the line and negotiating with these killers, these drug lords, these Africans from Sudan. I mean, bottom line,
the blood diamonds.
You're the guy that the book isn't about Randy and Big Babo. The book is about Billy, right? So you got to give yourself some credit.
But I wrote the book.
True.
No, but all those guys were there, and we had Jeff stepped anytime guns came out. He was there. El Babo was there with me a lot. But yes, we were the ones on the front lines, as you would see out there alone in fucking Dark 100 somewhere in a bodega, going in making the transfer. Where could we have got shot anytime? Yes, but did we? No. But so again,
how long was the operation overall?
It was about 2 years. That took about 2 years.
A fucking operation. Yeah.
Wow. I got about 18 months because after a while, it gets after we're just selling to the same people. We're just, even defensive things. We'll look at that and say, you're just building up the case. But we kept working our way up the chain of command. But from that, all those other things we extended out to the bomb guy, to the Chinese mafia, to the Russian mafia, with motor fuel. So the longer you do an operation, and it gives credibility because these people say, wow, they can't be cops. They're running this operation. In fact, we had some of them. We had
at the operation.
Yeah, we had lower tier guys. I ran into a couple guys after. We said, we knew you were cops. The deal was too big. We were making too much money. They made some money they never made in their whole life, which good or bad, but we had to keep doing it to lead us up to the bad guys. And the one guy, I know he put away $2 million. He says, hey, I get out. I got 2 years. I'm going to do 10 months. He goes,
I got $2 million waiting for me.
I said, well, where is it?
And you never skimmed off the top a little bit, a couple bucks here or there.
Oh, they all do. In fact, everyone's out to make a buck for themselves. But
that's what I like to hear.
Frank, I appreciate the kudos, but again, it was a team, and that's who I am. But every day Billy the Liquor Guy was on the street.
So what did
along
the biggest drug gun bust end up being? How much did you end up seizing in total after this 2-year investigation?
An 8-ball and a 38 special.
Yeah, we got two, and we got a cap gun. No, I don't. You know what? I don't know if you look up Operation Thunder and Lightning. At the time, that was actually Cuomo.
Okay.
Andrew, that was Cuomo.
Before he got in trouble for touching women.
Yeah, but he's innocent. He never. I was with him.
Let me ask you this, Billy. All right. So now the career winds down. You've done your time. Your penitentiary sentence is over. You're going to retire. So now you have a retirement party. Everybody has a retirement party. They gave you a clock and they gave you a plaque. So who's invited to this party? Are there Chinese? Do the Albanians come? Do the Sudanese? No. Who's Judge Pirro with
Janine Pirro.
Judge Pirro with her.
I wish all those.
Vagina. Who's coming to this party?
But to be honest with you, I won I got the plaque somewhere and I got the clock somewhere. I just don't know where.
I get a picture of that.
Yeah, I know I got it. But it was at the actual how the party was in politics. The new commissioner at the time, who definitely loved to drink. He said, listen, I don't know who you are. This is not at the end. This is like one of the little things happen, I guess, during the career. I won some award for Operation Thunder Lightning. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but they just said, show up at a party at the state office building. I showed up. There was about 100 people there, but I'm at the bar and the new commissioner comes up and he liked to drink, you could tell. And he goes, the next time you go on one of these ops, I want to go with you. I said, sure, Commissioner, no problem. But to answer your second question, I did not have a retirement party.
Nothing like that.
No, one day I just left
off into the sunset like Shane.
I wish I did, but I know. In fact, they did have I'm sorry, someone in our office ended up doing one for us few guys because Jeff, who myself, B. Asker. We all kind of retired about the same time. And I know one day I did not get along with my boss there because I know once I was going back into the ranks, some people are going to make my life hell because Tom Stanton had left by then. Yeah. Okay. And I just decided, he had he had a lot of people up his ass too for conducting improper investigations again, because he would not let them play. But one day I just said, fuck this, all my stuff on my desk. I just got one of those hand carts and I threw everything in it. And I'm out. And I left my weapon there and I let everyone leave the office. And I said, oh, by the way, I turned in and took my 2 weeks vacation. My boss, who didn't like me, said, you can't fucking do that. I said, I just did, because Tom Stanton had signed some stuff for me when he left, so yeah. Yeah, but we did it we have a little get together one, and I don't want to mention her name, but a female worked on our office, nice lady, so we'll keep it at that. No, I didn't, do anything with her. She was an auditor, and she had a little party for us at her home, and there was about 10 people there. You know what I'm saying? And that
was it for you. That was
other investigators retired and had 400 people at the party.
But you didn't want that. You didn't want that recognition. So
you were the scumbag. So from this retirement here, you spent a little time out and all that. And
he wrote the books.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to right now. Is when and what is the inspiration for the book?
Because 3 months in after retiring, I start getting a lot of flashbacks, and I finally I got really messed up mentally.
You said
and then
you had
after
PTSD.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, but I waited about, I'd walk around the neighborhood at 3 a.m, and I know I shouldn't go down the path, but because the cold air felt good, so I'd wear a pair of jockey shorts, a pair of boots, and my Buff State windbreaker. And a couple of my neighbors would see me, and they see this fucking guy walking around the neighborhood again, like Frank's neighborhood, not as but similar. And they're saying, and they go, finally, one of my buddies lived there, and he said, "Listen, I fucking saw you walking around 3 a.m. What are you gonna do?" I said,
"Did you know you were doing it? Were you consciously doing it?"
Yeah, but for some reason, whatever I had, the fresh air in January made me feel good. But I tried a lot of different stuff. Finally, after months, about 10 months, it varies about not getting off the couch. I finally went to see a psychiatrist, and he told me, he prescribed, he was a great guy. He just said, what do you want? He brought out the med pad, but I was doing some therapy. I had some drugs, good legal drugs, but he and the book came about by, he said, why don't you should make a journal.
Your diary, your journal. Yeah.
Your journal. And after the second or third session, he said, this is a book. And from that, I just start writing, taking my meds, which I don't know, Steve, I went off them once, which was a big mistake. I really fucked myself up.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Steve, I thought I was feeling better, which I was, but guess
what?
what?
Everyone does, Billy. When everyone feels good and they stop taking their meds, and then all hell breaks loose.
And the reason you feel good is because you're taking the meds. Yeah, in fact, I had a good friend of mine, my buddy who I grew up with, his wife's a nurse, and she laid into me. What is fucking? You're smarter than that.
Yeah, you
not
can't.
realize.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's a life sentence.
One book turns into a second book, and then from there, right? Yeah. So then from there, it turns into an agent, and then turns into conversations, and then turns into people talking to people, and then trying to get connected and get something on film.
Because you have Buckley, you have your agents out in California, and they're all working for you to try to get something done. And I think with the redundancy of Hollywood, this is perfect for that. Because there's remakes and everything's the same. Like, this is something new and something different and something people could get into.
Well, they keep telling me this is real, that I'm real. And it's like, something's done something, and it's a small town. The local guy does well with it, not all the fanfare, but then you throw in the PTSD. It has a lot of different situations.
Yes.
It talks about your family life going down the tubes, the real stuff. And, but I said, it took me a long time. Like people say, where you been? I said, I did 10 to 20. And, some people might. Yeah, I did. I did 10 undercover, but then I did 10 with PTSD. Or I say 10, depending on the 10 years, the 12 years I was still hanging on. But the 10 years was when I was really enjoying it. The last year, if it was that long, was just, I knew something was wrong. I mean, I was seeing dead people in the road.
It's good that you got help, though. It's good that you had the wherewithal to get help.
I know.
And that saved your life.
Yes, it did, buddy. Yes, it did.
And that's why
I give you credit. I give you credit for where you come from, which is my neck of the woods, to what you've accomplished throughout your life, and the humility that you have, and the results that actually took place during your time doing this kind of work, and now to actually be an author and have a best-selling author, and then perhaps most likely getting something produced to the next level.
Yeah,
I mean, those are things that only people dream of, and not really see. So I mean, I give you credit. It's been a good 4-part series you've been on here, just learning from the beginning on.
Labor definitely paid off.
Yeah, without a doubt.
For sure.
Humility was there because I had my old girlfriend break my heart. When they, shit like that happened.
That'll do it.
Fuck her.
Things happen.
Billy, you can't help micro penis, and there's nothing.
I know, but
oh, she's sticking up for you. I like it. I like it. That's good. That's good. She's defending the penis. I would too.
Yeah, I know.
Defend the cock. Defend the cock.
Honestly, the liquor guy sounds better. I mean, the liquor guy is actually where you want to go.
Some other pervert I know, and don't take that offensive, but said the same thing. They said, "So are you the liquor?" Oh no, I'm sorry. It was a guy, but I was on a little bus tour, and I was selling a book. And some lady came up to me of my age, and she goes, "So are you the liquor guy or the liquor guy?" And it caught me off guard. And then seriously, guys, then she goes, "Are you the LICKER or are you the LIC?"
For you, just to be sure.
And tell you the truth, there's a lot of other people, women sitting around, and they all laughed.
He wants to know if her vagina was shaved as well. He just wants to know.
No, she was older than it was.
You were tighter. We were tight with her too.
The older ones don't shave. The older ones.
No. I don't know that.
You do know. Are you shaved right now? You're not shaved, so neither is she.
I learned about manscaping.
Oh, good.
Actually, when
I'm glad you did.
when sunshine pulled my pants down, my wind pants
Yes, that was a great moment.
in the cold warehouse,
Right.
and I heard other agents tell me, which it was on video and film, which has gotten sent out there.
I hope we get a hold of that.
Well, I don't know how to look at it other than that, but if I find out, I won't tell you. But anyways, they educated me on manscaping. I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's good because you get the forest with the little button in there. You don't want that. You got to manscape. You got to clean that up.
You've done a great job tonight, Steve.
I
I commend you. Dave,
guys,
I commend you for hanging on for an hour. You did a fantastic job on your end there. Thank you.
So, Billy, just over the next few weeks, what's your schedule like? Do you have any more book signings?
I do. I just was down in Charleston for a little bit.
Correct.
In fact, I got to meet during my therapy when I was down there. I was writing my second book at this Cabana Burger Bar, and I just happened to be sitting next to a birthday party of women. About 10 came to the next two picnic tables, and they saw me there, and they go, "How you work? What are you reading? Are you reading? Or are you writing?" I said, "Well, actually, I'm doing a little bit of both." And that's when, the first couple times, I said, "I'm writing a second book. I just wrote a first book about my undercover career," and all the women were very excited.
Yeah,
they hear about it, and they start buying me drinks, and they bought a bunch of books. And unbeknownst to me, the bar owner, I thought he was going to get pissed off at me. He goes, because I did give one to the waitress because she wanted to see what all the commotion was. And she came back out. She goes, "After you're done here, the owner wants to talk to you." I said, "Okay," he's going to throw me out. But anyways, turned out he took a look at the book and read some, and he looked it up, and he worked in special ops all over the country many years ago. And actually, he introduced me to a lot of people. I start going to some groups down there, and I met a whole bunch of SEAL guys, a couple that wrote books. And, I felt like I said, "Guys, I don't belong here. You guys try all over the world." They go, "No." And the guy said, quote, whether you fight the battle on the jungle or you fight the battle on the concrete, we're all brothers." And these are agents and special forces telling me we had our missions, that you were in danger every fucking day.
You were.
You went to war.
You were.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, guys, I appreciate it, but I couldn't even imagine." I mean, these guys, they were in, as the word was used, shitholes all over the country doing stuff. And I got, it was just special people. I mean, you're dealing with the fucking Navy SEALs. You know what I'm saying? And these guys, I'm going to meetings. Yeah, and it's like they're like in awe of what I did. I said, "Guys, we don't even go down that path." But the only thing I took to heart after, that I was out there every day, every day
for 12 years.
Yeah, they get breaks, But so 12 years seems to get a little long.
What you did for that long of time and that stretch of time, I mean,
it's unheard of. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. First of all, I mean, just the ability to keep it together and not let the lines get blurred, right? I mean, most people
his character. Yep.
Most people have seen Donnie Brasco, the movie, right?
Yeah.
And when you see that movie, that's the thing that comes across the most to me, right? Was how difficult it was of going undercover to be able to handle the blurred lines there and to be able to stay focused on the mission for such extended periods of time when you're really a part of that world, right? So, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, it got blurred a lot, guys. Let me tell you. After a while, I became Billy the Liquor Guy. You know what I'm saying? It was like
that's who you are. That's who you are. Undercover or not undercover, you are Billy the Liquor Guy. William Soldado III.
Well, actually, I got a book signing. I got something this Friday. I got a big one at the center in North Utica, local.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, and then I got a couple of other local ones. If anybody checks out my Facebook page, they'll see I got, and my agent who was just here, she posts a lot of stuff. She keeps it up to date. Okay. So, but yeah.
Is it? You said it's on your Facebook page?
Yeah, it's Billy the
Okay.
Liquor Guy. And
Okay.
but she put stuff in under Billy the Liquor Guy, and there's like she did a big update about the movie, which I got a lot of hits about what a lot of local people, but also people I never heard of. Like, so I don't know if what Steve, I got because you probably get this. All of a sudden, I'm getting all these good-looking female fans want to meet me. What is that about? Is
It's the podcast platform that we have your shows are on that
Okay.
has a lot of good-looking women. So
Okay.
I would think it would come to you from that.
Steve usually has to check for cocks on these women.
Yeah, I get a lot of cock and balls.
Right. That look like
Blumpkins,
women. I mean,
balls and wieners
they're-
everywhere.
they're
Just balls and
gorgeous.
wieners.
They're gorgeous.
But no,
but
that would be it.
the third appendage.
We've tried to minimize your exposure for
Yeah.
this series, so you have that, and we can sell it. But that is why. I mean, your algorithm is based on where it is shown. So
My female agent, I'm sorry, does know what Plumpkin is. She explained it to me.
Yes. Now you know why I asked you to get one.
Yes. Okay, I understand now. It's
Do you
like
think you would want one?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Not right now at this time. I don't see that
Not right
happening
now at
to
this
me.
time.
But
Okay.
I'm getting Steve. I'm sorry, Mel. How do you know these are fake or not? Because normally I go to look at how many friends they have.
I walked in on one in college, so I know it's real.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
I witnessed the Blumpkin.
No, I meant the people, the good one, good-looking women.
Oh, how do I know the people are real?
Women.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, usually you'll have mutual friends in common. That's
Yeah.
usually how I know.
Okay.
If I have
Yeah,
mutual
okay.
friends,
Frank.
it comes
Right.
up on Facebook.
How do you know these Blumpkins are real, Steve? Can you break it down for us? You actually walk into the room and see it, or do they just email you and tell you that it's happening?
Well, I've always wanted one. I've never had one,
Right.
but I witnessed one.
You did.
Yes.
Dave,
I
how do you do it?
Can you AI?
Frank,
Can you
how do you
AI
do
a
it?
Blumpkin?
Hey,
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
Dave, help me here. How do you control?
I don't know what Steve's obsession with this stuff is. To me, to be honest, drives me
Because
Well,
I
nuts.
just think it's an amazing thing that a female would perform that for a man.
I got to do a remote. I can't sit next to this guy anymore.
So,
Yeah, I don't know how you do.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just the asshole. I know.
Well, you're like
well-
this. One of the undercovers ladies of a different ethnicity wanted to give me a rainbow shower. She wanted to
A
pee on me.
rainbow shower.
Oh, yeah.
That's a golden shower. A rainbow
Well,
shower is a
thank-
combination.
Golden shower. Rainbow might be like
A rainbow's with the period and the urine. So
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
yeah,
What?
the rainbow's
I
more
didn't even know
degrading.
that, Steve.
What?
I know all the sexual terms because I've done them. I was in Amsterdam, remember?
New York?
How often do you
No,
get your
the
periods?
real answer.
Steve, how often do you get your periods?
I don't get them, but I know that's what a rainbow Blumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the rainbow.
rainbow
A
Blumpkin.
rainbow shower. I know the rainbow shower.
Rainbow Blumpkin.
Billy, if anyone offers you a rainbow shower, don't take it. Do not take a rainbow shower.
I can't do this. No.
Can you please?
Frank, how do you do a commercial? I gave you kudos on your commercial on the thing and
Yeah.
said what great guys you are and stuff. But I said you're great guys, but also, by the way, I got a doctor's appointment Wednesday. I'm showing up at your buffet as soon as I'm done with that
The
fucking
buffet's
wait.
the best.
You're right on Wednesday. I'll be there
Oh,
Wednesday.
I
I'm not
thought-
going anywhere.
I saw it, bro. I wanted to dive into it so bad.
Yeah,
But I go,
a
oh,
good
it's
Italian
excellent.
buffet. That's all. It's just a little small, couple 2-table Italian buffet. Everybody's happy when they get out. Hopefully, who knows? I can't make everybody.
You
happy.
got everything you would want. You have
Yeah.
everything I would want. So
Yeah.
and I'm not. It looked good. I did kind of stick my finger in the meatballs, but they were
Yeah,
pretty
I do
good.
that too.
That's what
I
they're
usually
there
take
for.
the
That's what
cannolis.
they're there for. Yep, that's what.
I take the blueberry cannolis. But Billy, listen, this has been just an incredible
Fabulous.
journey. An incredible journey. Hearing these stories, hearing your experiences, hearing the trials and tribulations that you went through day in and day out. That
Yeah.
is what makes you a hero.
Well, no, but
All
you know
of
what
us.
makes me a hero? I got to say, I can't thank you enough. You have opened my eyes to a different type of
Stupidity.
level of. I thought I've met some crazy ass guys in my life, but you opened up my eyes that some grew up in New Hartford. That's the best way.
They have. They have.
But
They have.
You're
They
the
have.
best.
Remember
You're the
that.
best. But Steve, you're the best, and your dad is a hell of a guy.
Remember to tell my father that you think I'm crazy. He needs to know.
Oh, I do. No. I said,
don't
but
know
I
if you know.
Glenn, you're lucky to have two guys next to you that are not as crazy. I thought
They're not as crazy. They're not.
No.
So we hope to get you back in town. We can't wait to see you again. And
Okay.
safe travels. Now, where are you currently?
I am in Charleston.
Okay, you're still in Charleston. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I will be heading back.
Have a safe
will.
trip back.
Yes.
Tell your agent that we will try to get her the
I will.
podcast on Facebook for her, Billy the
Okay.
Liquor Guy, and
You're the best.
we'll have it all put together. So
And
Remember, in the movie, Billy, I want to be the Hasidic Jew with the dreadlocks.
okay. Okay.
yeah,
There-
I'll fit right in.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
There's
wanna
about
be
12
Bobo.
parts.
I want to be Bobo.
No, this guy, and I'm sorry, Dave's going to be the obviously. Well, you can be the business guy. I don't know. He can definitely be another professional. I got about 12 fucking characters Steve could play in the movie. We'll just
Yeah, I know. I
interchange,
can play
like,
them all.
The dead guy in the car, the dead guy
Yeah.
on the street, the dead guy in the warehouse.
well, I told
Well-
him, and I won't give him a part, but he might want it where I told Buckley and El Babo, because El Babo's there's so many stories off he did not show up to a detail once because of a situation with a pole dancer. That's the best way I can explain that.
You know what? That happens. That happens. I mean,
It
there's nothing you
happens,
can
but
do with
not
that.
when you got 8 other agencies waiting on the secondary undercover to
Wow.
show up.
Sometimes you got to take care of you. You do you.
Yeah.
You do you.
That's
That's
it.
how
I know.
I feel.
But him
But-
and Buckley, they got the part locked up about the gay lover to the Arab terrorists.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh,
that-
I guess I don't have a part then. All
No,
right.
you're the Arab
No, no.
terrorist.
Oh, I get to be the Arab
You're the
terrorist.
gay.
Okay.
You're the gay Arab terrorist.
Hey, I'll take whatever I can get, Billy. Again,
Guys, in all fairness, you've been great. This has been a lot of laughs. We went off
Oh, it's
point a
been
bit,
perfect.
but
no,
you
we've
guys
never
are
gone off
outstanding.
point. We've never gone off point.
Yeah.
This
Well-
has been perfect. This is just what we need, Billy. Entertainment is what sells.
No,
And
it
you,
does, and
my
I
friend,
will.
are
I will be
entertaining.
hounding my after I'm done with this week. I got a meeting with my /producer /agents, and like I said, they were excited to have some response from I call them mid-major. I can't mention their names because of the privacy shit on the contract,
Sure,
but
of course.
it's getting there, guys. I'm still.
It'll get there.
Good for you.
You got enough material to clearly make a 90-minute to 2-hour movie. Hands down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So thank you again. We appreciate. So the voice of reason himself, Frank Cristiano.
Yes.
Yep. Great job. Great questions. Dave, we appreciate your contribution. he didn't fall asleep. And
No,
he-
sometime he wasn't yawning, but who does he look like? I can't think who he looks like. He reminds me of somebody.
He looks
With his
he looks like Doc from Back to the Future. His hair's just spiked out.
Yeah, no, I can't see that, but I won't say anything because
Superman, but I don't know.
Yeah.
well,
That's right. Captain
all
America.
right.
So
Yeah, okay.
So for William Soldado, Billy the Liquor Guy, and his lovely technical assistant who got this running, thank her.
Yeah,
and
I will.
I love that she defended your honor in the micro penis. That was huge.
I'm gonna thank her right now.
Yeah, thank her. Good. Thank her several times.
Give her that stamp there, will you, Billy?
Thank her
Give the
several
stamp.
times. Thank her
That's
several
that
times.
ain't illegal. It ain't illegal.
I
We'll,
will.
I'll shoot you a text. We'll stay in touch with you, and hopefully we'll get together when you get back in town. We'll come
Yeah,
check you out at your signing. I'm excited for that too.
We'll have to come and check out his buffet. Well,
Yeah, we'll meet you at the buffet.
We're there.
sounds like a plan. Man. All right.
So
Okay.
this has been the final episode in the series on Billy the Liquor Guy. For Coach Human, the voice of reason, and William Soldado, I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them right back at life.